Create Art Podcast. Commentary. Mercy. Hello, friends. This is Timothy Kim O'Brien, your head instigator for Create Art Podcast, where I use my 30-plus years of experience in the arts and education world to help you create more than you consume and tame that inner critic. In 2022, during Christmas, my wife got me this deck of cards. Now, it's not your ordinary deck of cards. It's called Kickstart Creativity, and it's 50 cards that are like prompts that spark inspiration. And I was thinking, wait a minute, I run a podcast called Create Art Podcast. What's this all about? And when I went through some of the cards, I was like, wow, this is, something that is really helpful, even for those of us that, don't really have a problem with inspiration. This really, changes the game, so to speak. And so this year in 2023, I scrapped what I was going to do, and I'm taking one card per week and then talking to you about what's on that card. Now, there's three types of cards. There's the action cards, perspective cards, and intention cards. And I'm working my way through the intention cards first. So for this week, and I do want to say that, this podcast is coming out a little bit late because, life gets in the way. And that's the way it is. And it's kind of, I don't know exactly what to call it, but coincidental that today's card is called the Mercy card. So let me read off what it says here. Have mercy and reap the fruitful harvest, which comes from compassion. And like last week's card, which was loving kindness, this one, it hit just at the right time. So let's see what the back of the card says here. How good it can feel to hit the pause button on the 24-hour news cycle and turn your eyes toward cooking a meal, laying down watercolor on slick white paper, or dancing with children. Perhaps the dream of creating something that makes a difference, of crafting a balm for this broken world. Judgment, skepticism, and snark abound, but stories of compassionate and creative responses to the world's hurts are in short supply. Wow. I mean, here in 2023, you take a look at the news cycle, and I am guilty of this to the nth degree. I have, different news sources that ping me all day long. And there comes a time when you just got to turn all that stuff off and show yourself some mercy. Like with anything, you got to show it to yourself first. And that's, what I tell my children is, you can't love somebody until you love yourself first. And that's the same thing with mercy. You need to show mercy to yourself before you show it to other people. And one of the ways that you can, show mercy to yourself is, sometimes you just got to turn off those news channels, turn off that social media, and get down to the business of creating some art for yourself. That's why, I usually end all of my episodes with, go create art for somebody you love, yourself. You got to love yourself first, and you have to show yourself mercy and grace and all that good stuff. So, one of the ways that I'm practicing it is, hitting the do not disturb button a lot more than what I used to, because the news is going to happen. It's going to happen with or without my commentary. And, sometimes I'd like to think that it's not going to happen unless I'm there and knee deep in it. But in reality, life is going to happen. News is going to happen. People are going to do what people are going to do. And that's okay. And, sometimes we just have to let them do what they're going to do. And then when things go awry, we come back and provide comfort. And that comfort can come from your art. Some definitions that I looked up for mercy, and good old Merriam-Webster is compassion or forbearance shown especially to an offender or to one subject to one's power. Imprisonment rather than death imposed as a penalty for first-degree murder. A blessing that is an act of divine favor or compassion. A fortunate circumstance, compassionate treatment of those in distress. And even before the pandemic, first and foremost, the big thing that I'm getting out of this is the word compassion. Sometimes we like to, our inner critic likes to judge us harshly. Well, there's times when you just have to, turn that inner critic off because it's getting in your way and it's judging you harshly. And it's telling you all sorts of things that, aren't really true. So sometimes you just got to turn that bad boy off and put him in his corner and just go, hey, listen, internal critic, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to be gentle with myself. I'm going to be compassionate with myself. And then take that compassion and push it outwards to others around you. So, give that a shot for your practice. If you're looking for something to do for some sort of inspiration, then, you might want to just think how you can show mercy to others that are in a hard spot, because there's always two sides to a story, no matter, what's happening there. And just recently, I've had this realization with certain members of my family that, I'm going to show them mercy for, some of the things that were done to me. It's a freeing kind of feeling to have, which, when we show mercy to others for, whatever wrongs that they have done to us, it's not a forgive and forget and, kind of thing. It's, I'm going to try to understand why what happened and move on from there. And, I'm going to try to understand your viewpoints. And I may not understand your viewpoints, but I'm going to show you compassion and not let this get in the way of my creativity. Won't let it get in the way of how I'm going to live my life. And I'm finding that, being a dad, I'm having to show a lot of mercy, and I have a lot of mercy on myself for mistakes that I make in being a father. And, hopefully that turns out good. We'll find out in about, 18, 20 years. So stick around. Next on Create Art Podcast in 20 years. We'll talk to my kids and see how that turns out. But I think if, we let go of some of this stuff, if we show compassion towards ourselves, we give mercy to ourselves, then we can go ahead and show that mercy to others. Now let's look at the challenge that the card gives. And that's one of the things I like about these cards. They give you little challenges to do. First challenge is reflect on how your creative work could bestow mercy or blessing upon yourself, someone else, or this broken world. And, if you're looking for inspiration, if you're looking for something to do, right there, whatever your discipline is, whether it be dance or music or whatnot, find a way that you can show mercy to yourself through that and write about it and make that artwork, just that. It's a great way when you do that, when you, discuss, how mercy or blessings upon yourself or someone else or this broken world. It's a great way to kind of let your audience in on the behind the scenes, on the inner workings of your work. And a lot of times, people want to know, how do you get your ideas and where do you get your inspiration from? And, that's a way for them to actually figure that out and connect even deeper with you. The next challenge is, can you or your team imagine how conflict could be transcended through a thoughtfully designed work of art or public performance? And for this one, Again, it's another idea for something for you to go ahead and create for yourself or for your audience members. Things that show how you're transcending conflict is great, because conflict immediately for some people brings a lot of anxiety. People a lot of times don't like to be embroiled in conflict. But if you can show how you were able to transcend conflict, that might be useful for somebody else. That might be the art therapy that they need. And I think a lot of times, our audience members are looking for that kind of therapy. And I know in the past for me, I called it doing therapy on stage, where, people would read their poetry and, have their moment, and, describe something horrific that happened to them, and get it out on the stage. And I've changed my tune on that. I have evolved, and I'm fine with it now. Not that it has to pass my muster by any stretch of the imagination, but when we see people being able to make it, no matter what the odds are, then we need to show them the compassion and the mercy to support their artwork, because they're revealing something very personal about themselves. And that is a scary thing. That right in itself causes anxiety. So how can you show that? You can show that through, stating what the issue is or what the issue was and how you got around it. And that could be, just what somebody needs in your audience. So give that a shot for yourself. The last challenge is map out one act of mercy can ripple into your home, workplace, community, country, and world. So just by doing one act of mercy, think about the impact that you have around you that you can show. And then you can create a piece of art around, what that one act was. And you can show the ripple effect that it had in the community that you reside in. And, there's that whole theory of, butterfly flaps its wings in the Amazon and starts a hurricane in Alaska, or whatever whatever the butterfly effect is. I know I'm not describing it correctly, but that's okay. But just think about, if you were to show some compassion to the person at the checkout line, letting somebody in front of you that has more things in their basket, or how you made a concerted effort to improve the day of the person checking out your groceries, and what kind of things that can spark with that. I know for me, grocery store I go to the same checkout lady every time, because she is a twin, and we have a few minutes of conversation, and I've written about that in my work, and boom, right there is something that you can create a piece of art out of. So just by doing those simple acts of compassion, of kindness, that simple act, it's simple to you, but you never know what the other person on the receiving end is going to get out of it. So it may be something that they need for themselves. And who knows, that may even turn them into an audience member for you. So give it a shot, and let me know how that works out for you. Well, that was today's card. I appreciate you taking a listen to this podcast, and I really appreciate the time that you put into it. And I hope you appreciate the time that I put into it. I do want to ask you a slight favor. If you got any benefit out of this, I'd ask you to go ahead and share it with a friend. Whatever app you're using, if you're on my website, go ahead and give them the website. If you're using an app, share it through your app. There's lots of different ways, lots of different apps out there. So I'm not going to go through them all. But yeah, go ahead and share it with a friend. I don't mind. Don't mind at all. The other thing I'd like to ask of you is that if you have something going on in your neck of the woods, or if you have, a piece of art that you're working on that I can help you out with, or if you want to get your work out there to other people, I'd be happy to interview you on this show. You can email me, timothy@createartpodcast.com. And I'd be happy to get back with you and talk about it and see what we can do about that. The last thing I'm going to ask of you, and I know I'm asking a ton, and I apologize for that, but could you go ahead and email me and let me know what would make this a 5-star podcast in your eyes? I'd like to know about that. You can, a lot of the apps out there, you can comment right there on the app and leave your review or all that. And by all means, go ahead and do that. Even if it's not a 5-star, if it's a 4-star, if it's a 1-star, go ahead and do that. But what I would ask you to do, please, is to go ahead and email me. Same email address, timothy@createartpodcast.com. And let me know what's going to make this a 5-star podcast for you. Now I'm going to release you to the rest of your day. I hope this was enjoyable for you. I know it was enjoyable for me. So go out there. Tame that inner critic. Create more than you consume. And go out there and make some art for somebody you love, yourself. I'll talk to you next time.